What do you make of the current state of the Likud party and what of its future?
I've asked a lot of people, and I've asked a lot of MKs, Likud MKs, tell me what the Likud party stands for. And I get blank stares.
You got bemused looks.
Like, why are you asking me this question? It's self-evident. We don't stand for anything except self-preservation at whatever cost. I've talked to the backbenchers intensely by warning them that given all the polls, and no matter how this war ends, they had better have alternative jobs waiting for them.
Employment options.
Employment options, if you will. And they all understand this. And I have suggested that some of them join me in reestablishing the Herut party. I think I've told them we need 10 members of Likud to join me in reforming the Herut party. And basically going to the prime minister and saying, you either stop this nonsense and finish the war the right way and get our people back into their homes up north and take Iran off the map, or we're simply going to not vote in favor of maintaining your government. We'll vote for a vote of no confidence and we'll get you out. They don't want to hear this. Go up against Bibi? Are you crazy? So I've tried to convince them that for their own sakes, I said, for your own self-interest, you should at least separate yourself from this extremely cynical and negative reputation that the Likud has right now. Embrace Herut and what it stood for and update it with a lot more religiosity than Jabotinsky ever hoped to have in it, or Begin for that matter. And break. If you have 10, you can break. And that'll be the end of it. And at least then you can stand for election with some kind of success to your credit, that you stood on principle, you stood for Jewish nationalism, that you stood for Eretz HaKodesh and a defeat of the
Holy Land.
The Holy Land. And they look at me like I'm trying to, it's like telling people, I'm in a rowboat, I'm looking up at the Titanic, the ship's going down, and I'm telling everybody, I think you should jump right now. I think you have a better chance in the icy cold North Atlantic than you do going down on this rust bucket right now. And they just don't see it. They just don't see. There are some very, very good people in the Likud. There are. But just as the British Army was described as an army of lions led by donkeys, no offense to the Chamors, these guys just don't get it. They're afraid of going up against Bibi, period. And they would rather be known as loyal followers that go down with the ship rather than think about the welfare of the country. They will not. I've told them, as far as I'm concerned, my only constituency is the land and people of Israel, period. And I said, that should be your constituency as well. They don't care about that. They don't want to hear that.
Where do you think many Likud voters, some of them, one could say, almost hypnotized Likud voters who have voted loyally and repeatedly for the Likud over years and decades in some cases, if some of them in fact are waking up and are disappointed and understand that something has to give, for whom would they vote?
It's a problem. Some of the more conservative members might be convinced to migrate to either the religious Zionists. I wouldn't say any of them at this point would consider Otzma Yehudit and B'Tzalel. the furthest to the right they might go.
You mean, I'm
is,
sorry, you meant to say Itamar Ben-Gvir and Otzma Yehudit.
Itamar Ben-Gvir with Otzma Yehudit. The rest of them, they have no North Star. They really don't know where they belong. I mean, there are heir apparents in the Likud, people like Israel Katz, people like Nir Barkat, the former mayor of Jerusalem, people like Yuli Edelstein, I guess representing the Russian mafia.
None of these people are of any real significance in terms of being national leaders. Absolutely not.
One very fine, well, two very fine members of the Likud that I have a lot of respect for are Levin and Bismuth. And unfortunately, with Levin, he's not a leader right now. I mean, he's a very fine man. He's an ethical man. He's a good thinker. But he's not the stuff of leadership that leadership's made. And Boaz Bismuth, I have immense respect for. I think he's a good thinker. I think his heart is with the country. And this is why they're afraid of him, actually. In a normal party, Boaz should have been up at the very top of the Likud list, given his intellectual qualities and given his just self-evident morality, decency as a human being. But because the Likud is just made up of rotten eggs right now, they're scared of a guy like Boaz. He can't be bought. He loves the country. He cares for the people. He understands what we're fighting for. And that's anathema to these people because they're all basically criminals. I hate to say this. They have criminal mentalities. So who else is there in the Likud? Of a type that we need right now? And they're going to be taken to the cleaners. Trust me. Every poll I've seen, they go up and they go down by 1 or 2 votes every week. And a poll is a snapshot of time anyway. You have to really look at polls over time to see where the trends are. And the trends are not good. And I point this out to people. And I've given them a boat they can transfer to. They can get off the sinking boat to another boat that's got viability. This revitalized Herut party. And many of them just say to me, well, you go ahead and restart it. Like that's all I have to do right now. With all these startups I'm running and a new family I'm trying to assimilate.
We're talking, it also requires very significant funding, yes.
Money.
Exactly.
And that kind of money I would rather put away for my stepchildren right now and my wife. I'm not young. And I have to make sure that the people I love are well provided for if something happens to me. That's all I think about when it comes to this issue. So where do they go? I don't know. I mean, you look at other options that are on the table right now or being formulated. People like the triumvirate of Gideon Sa'ar, who is regarded still as a traitor and rightfully so to the Likud party. Joining up with Yossi Cohen, the former head of the Mossad, and Naftali Bennett.
I don't want even to go there.
No. And you have to look at this because what happens with that kind of party is you'll get people from the back bench of Likud jumping for survival because they've been given, by the latest polls that I've read, half of Benny Gantz's support. They're looking 15, 16 mandates. So you want to join something like that. That's why I said they're not these people that I'm dealing with and trying to convince to do the right thing. If they're thinking, which some of them have expressed an interest in doing, in jumping ship rather than going down with the ship, to join this group of losers, as I call them, that's viable for them. And trust me, if they made the transition, they'd ride the wave. They would. So if this party got, 15 or 16 mandates from Benny Gantz, there might be some crust left, maybe 2 or 3 mandates for Likudniks that join them. And that's all they think about. Look, I've written to all of them over the past 6 months about issues like the Turks and how we have to get them out of East Jerusalem, how we have to stop their what they call jihadi tourism, how we have to actually come up out of the trenches and respond to their state promoted anti-Semitism. Okay? Nothing. Crickets. I haven't heard anything. And this is what we're dealing with. I mean, nobody takes the Knesset seriously at all. You know that. The legal advisors, the attorney general, the high court, the prime minister, they're the ones that are running everything. And in the prime minister's case, less so.
Much less so.
Much less so. So these MKs are basically placeholders that get generous salaries and other perks. And that's it. So they have to put their finger up to vote every once in a while. And the basic fundamental problem in this country is that of accountability. These buggers actually think we work for them because they don't care about the way our political system is structured. They have no ridings, they have no districts, they have no constituencies. So they can do whatever they want without really any consequences.
They don't owe the voters anything.
They owe them nothing at all. Nothing. Well, this is what happens. October 7th happens because of that irresponsibility. What do they care about the rest of us? It's that whole political class. And I'm sorry that so many good people, good soldiers, had to die because of their calculated indifference towards the welfare of our country. But that's the shameful fact of it.